Today we speak about a French fortune teller and alleged powerful witch who rose from humble beginnings to become a renowned diviner and alleged practitioner of black magic. She sought vengeance against her enemies through poison provision and dark sorcery ceremonies, becoming one of the most feared witches throughout Europe. This is the incredible story of Catherine Deschet's Voisin, also known as La Voisin. Hello and welcome. If you would like to see more from Untold History Women, then just click on that subscribe button. Now, let's start today's video. La Voisin was born in Voisin, France on January 29, 1640. Little is known of La Voisin's early life. She learned fortune-telling as a child and later married Antoine Voisin, who was active as a jeweller and silk merchant with a shop at Pont-Marie in Paris. When her husband's trade business led to bankruptcy, La Voisin supported the family by practicing chiromancy and face reading. In addition to being a fortune teller, she was also active as a midwife, which had developed into providing abortion. La Voisin apparently started to include abortions, illegal at the time, for profit within her services as a midwife, and her clients eventually included wealthy members of the aristocracy. She had a network of abortion providers working for her, notably Catherine Lepere, who stated that she received her clients from La Voisin, who referred clients to her, and took the majority of the profit as a fee. Catherine Lepere claimed that fetuses that had been aborted late in the pregnancy were burned in a furnace at the house of La Voisin and buried in the garden of her house. In 1640, women were perceived primarily through the lens of patriarchal norms. They were expected to fulfill domestic duties, serve their husbands and their children. Social roles were rigidly defined with limited opportunities for education and employment. Elite women symbolized status and virtue, upholding family honor. However, women outside the elite faced greater restrictions and challenges. Overall, women's identities were largely defined by their relationships to men and their roles within the family unit. In 1640, amidst prevailing patriarchal norms, La Voisin challenged said traditional perceptions of women. Despite societal constraints, her business as a fortune teller gradually developed into manufacturing and selling purported magical objects and potions, arranging black masses and selling aphrodisiacs and poison to profit from her clients' wishes upon their future. From the late 1660s, La Voisin had become a wealthy and famous fortune teller with clients among the highest aristocracy of France. Among her clients were Olympia Mancini, Countess of Soissons, Marianne Mancini, Duchess of Bouillon, Elizabeth, Countess of Gramont, and Francois, Henry of Montmorency, Duke of Luxembourg. She resided at Villeneuve-sur-Gravois, where she received her clients all day, and entertained the Parisian upper-class society at parties with violin music in her garden at night. La Voisin regularly attended service at the church of the Jansenist Abbey de Saint-Amour, principal of the Paris University, and the godmother of her daughter was the noblewoman Madame de la Roche. La Voisin supported a family of 6, including her husband, her mother, and her children. She was known to have at least 6 lovers: the executioner André Guillaume, Monsieur Latour, Viscount of Couserans, the Count of Labatie, the alchemist Blessis, the architect Fouché, and the magician Adam Lesage. At one point, Adam Lesage tried to induce her to kill her husband, but while he was initially successful, she changed her mind and aborted the process. La Voisin was interested in science and alchemy and financed several private projects and enterprises, some of them concocted by con artists who tried to swindle her. She had problems with alcohol, suffered abuse from one of her many lovers, and got into conflicts with rivals like the poisoner Marie Bosset, whom she later killed. La Voisin later said that, as a fortune teller, she had merely used and developed what God had given her. She stated that she was taught the art of fortune-telling at the age of 9, and that after her husband became bankrupt, she decided to profit by it. She developed her art by studying the modern methods of physiology and the art of reading the client's future by studying their face and hands. She spent a great deal of money in order to provide an atmosphere which would make her clients more inclined to believe her prophecies. For example, she had a special robe of crimson red velvet embroidered with eagles in gold made for a price of 1,500 livres to perform in. In 1665 or 1666, her divination was questioned by the congregation of the mission at the St. Vincent de Paul's order, and she was called for questioning, but La Voisin defended herself successfully before the professors at Sorbonne University and was allowed to continue her business as a psychic. Her business as a fortune teller gradually developed into a business of professional alleged black magic. During her activity as a fortune teller, she noticed similarities among her clients' wishes about their future. Almost all wanted to have someone fall in love with them, that someone would die so that they might inherit, or that their spouses would die so that they might marry a different person. La Voisin decided to profit financially from her clients' wishes by offering services of purported magic to make their wishes come true. Initially, she told her clients that their wish would come true if it was also the will of God. Secondly, she started to recommend to her clients some actions that would make their dreams come true. These actions were initially to visit the church of some particular saint. Then she started to sell amulets, and gradually she recommended more and more alleged magical objects or rituals of various kinds. For those clients who wished for someone to fall in love with them, she manufactured love powders. The bones of toads, the teeth of moles, Spanish flies, iron filings, human blood, and the dust of human remains were among the alleged ingredients of the love powder. Finally, her most radical and expensive recommended practices were the Black Mass, which she arranged for clients for profit, during which the client could pray to Satan for their wish to come true. During some of these masses, a woman performed as an altar upon which a bowl was placed. A baby was held above the bowl, and the blood from it was poured into the bowl. Whether the baby in question was actually killed on this occasion, or whether the baby was already dead by natural causes, such as being stillborn, could vary. She had several associates working for her, arranging and participating in her professional magic services, notably Adam Lesage, who performed alleged magical tasks, and the priest Etienne Guibourg and Abbe Mariotte, who officiated at the Black Masses. La Voisin finally took the step from purported magical potions, amulets and rituals, to selling aphrodisiacs to those who wished for someone to fall in love with them, and fatal poison was given to those who wished for someone to die. In 1667, Madame Montespan, the mistress of King Louis XIV, allegedly hired La Voisin to arrange a black mass to win the king's love. This association then continued as Madame Montespan faced challenges in her relationship with the king. In 1673, when the king's interest waned, Madame Montespan again sought La Voisin's help to provide aphrodisiacs elixir to her, including one used to drug the king during his affair with another of his mistresses. In 1677, fearing abandonment by the king, Madame Montespan contemplated having him killed and turned to La Voisin for help. La Voisin agreed and planned the assassination with her colleague. However, their plot was thwarted when the king did not accept the petition they intended to poison. La Voisin's activities came to light amid a climate of suspicion around poisoning, fueled by events like the executions of other poisoners. On 12 March 1679, La Voisin was arrested outside the church of Notre Dame of Bonne Nouvelle. At the arrest of La Voisin, her maid Margot stated that the arrest would mean the end of a number of people at all levels of society. However, La Voisin was imprisoned at Vincennes, where she was subjected to questioning. On 27 December 1679, King Louis XIV issued an order that the whole network should be exterminated by all methods, regardless of rank, sex, or age. The arrest of La Voisin was followed by the arrest of her network of associates, including her daughter, La Voisin was never subjected to torture. Although a formal order was issued permitting the use of torture, it was made clear that the order was not to be put in effect, and consequently, it was never made use of. The reason is suggested to have been the fear that she might reveal the names of influential people if she was questioned under torture. Aware of her alcoholism, however, her interrogators reportedly did not limit her access to alcohol, but instead kept her in a state of drunkenness during her interrogation. She once mentioned to the guards that the question she feared most was that they would ask her about her visits to the royal court. Her list of clients, the arranging of the Black Masses, her connection to Madame Montespan, and the murder attempt on the king were not revealed until after her death, when it was stated by her daughter and confirmed by the testimonies of her former connections. She also denied claims of using her oven to burn the bones of aborted infants that were too large for the grave area in her garden. She also counterclaimed any usage of poisons and that she only possessed purgatives for personal use or for her family. Another accusation she denied includes injecting syringes with fatal liquids into the bodies of pregnant women to empty them, after which the aborted fetuses were subsequently buried in the same manner at the garden grave. On February 17, 1680, La Voisin was put on trial and was convicted of witchcraft and sentenced to execution by burning 2 days later. In the days following her verdict until her execution, she was formally interrogated under torture, and the official document stated that she was tortured enough to beg for mercy. Her purported organisation of commissioned black magic and poison murder was suspected to have killed 1,000 people, but it is believed that upwards of 2,500 people might have been murdered. La Voisin was executed in public on the Place de Grève in Paris on 22 February 1680. On her way to her execution, she reportedly pushed away the priest, and when fastened on the stake, she desperately pushed away the hay which was piled up around her. After her execution, La Voisin was buried in unconsecrated ground, likely in a common burial site designated for criminals and those condemned for heresy or witchcraft. And you guys, did you know the incredible story of this interesting woman? Let me know in the comments below. I hope you liked this topic, because this is part of a series of videos about iconic women of history, so make sure you subscribe and hit the bell button so you don't miss the next episode. Thank you for watching.